Airports were strange places. They were designed for movement, but somehow they always found a way to make people feel stuck. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead, too bright to be comforting, too cold to feel human. Announcements echoed endlessly, boarding calls, last calls, delayed flights, each voice blending into the next, until urgency lost its meaning. For David Johnson, airports had always carried an extra weight. Not fear, not exactly. Awareness. He stood near gate 47, denim jacket zipped halfway, backpack resting against his leg. His ticket was folded neatly in his hand, edges worn from checking it too many times. It arrived early, always arrived early. He knew better than to give anyone a reason. Around him, travelers scrawled on phones, laughed, complained about delays. A white family posed for a quick selfie near the window. A businessman argued with a gate agent about an upgrade. David watched quietly. He wasn't nervous about flying. He was nervous about being noticed. Passengers for Flight 782 to Chicago, please prepare for boarding. David stepped forward with the group. That was when he saw her. The flight attendant stood just beyond the gate scanner, crisp uniform pressed to perfection, blonde hair tucked neatly beneath her cap. Her smile was bright, effortlessly kind, that came easily when the world already expected to trust you. Her name badge read Emily. She laughed with a white couple ahead of him, joking about carry-on sizes, waving them through with barely a glance at their passes. Then her eyes landed on David. Her smile faltered, just for a moment, but David saw it. He handed over his ticket. Emily took it, eyes scanning it slowly. Too slowly. Her brow furrowed. "This ticket looks damaged," she said. David blinked. "It's digital. I printed it at the kiosk." She turned it over, then back again. People behind him shifted impatiently. "I've never had an issue before," David said calmly. Emily tilted her head. "Sir, where exactly did you get this ticket?" David felt the first ripple of heat in his chest. "From the airline, online." Emily's lips pressed together. "Because this doesn't look valid." David glanced at the scanner. "You haven't scanned it?" Emily ignored that. "Step aside, please." Her voice was sweet. Her command was not. David hesitated. "Is there a problem?" Emily sighed loudly, like a teacher dealing with a difficult child. "You're holding up the line." A man behind David muttered something under his breath. David stepped to the side. Emily waved the next passenger through without missing a beat. Then another. Then another. David stood there, invisible and exposed at the same time. After a minute, Emily turned back to him. "I'll need to reissue this," she said. "That's fine," David replied. "Can you scan it first?" Emily's jaw tightened. She grabbed the ticket again, and then she tore it right down the middle. Gasps rippled through the line. David froze. He stared at the two halves now dangling from her fingers. "I'm sorry," Emily said flatly. "This ticket is invalid." David's heart slammed against his ribs. "You just tore my boarding pass." Emily shrugged. "If it was legitimate, it wouldn't have torn so easily." Silence fell. Someone whispered, "Did she just?" David's voice came out steady, though his hands trembled. "That was my ticket. I paid for that seat." Emily leaned closer, lowering her voice. "Sir, don't make this difficult." "Difficult," David repeated. "You destroyed my ticket." Emily straightened, suddenly louder. "Security may need to be called if you continue to argue." There it was, the threat. David looked around. Phones were coming out now, subtle, careful, people pretending not to record while recording everything. A woman near the window whispered, "This doesn't feel right." David swallowed hard. "Why did you tear my ticket?" Emily's eyes flashed. "Are you accusing me of something?" "I'm asking a question." Emily crossed her arms. "I deal with fraudulent tickets all the time." "Fraudulent." The word hung heavy. David shook his head slowly. "You didn't even scan it." Emily smirked. "I don't need to." Behind her, a supervisor approached, drawn by the tension. "What's going on?" he asked. Emily spoke quickly. "This passenger tried to board with an invalid ticket and became confrontational." David turned to the supervisor. "She tore my ticket without scanning it." The supervisor looked at the torn pieces. Then at Emily. "Did you scan it?" he asked. Emily hesitated. It was clearly fake. "Did you scan it?" he repeated. Emily's face reddened. "No." The supervisor sighed. "Sir, May I see your ID? David handed it over. The supervisor typed rapidly at the terminal. Seconds passed, then his expression changed. Your ticket is valid, he said. Seat 18A. Emily stiffened. She tore it, David said quietly. The supervisor turned to Emily. Why would you do that? Emily opened her mouth, closed it. I thought the supervisor held up a hand. We'll talk later. Emily's eyes darted around the gate. Phones, faces, witnesses. She suddenly smiled again, forced and brittle. Sir, there's no need to escalate this. David met her gaze. You already did. The supervisor reprinted the ticket and handed it to David. I apologize for the inconvenience. Inconvenience? David nodded. Thank you. As he walked down the jet bridge, his legs felt heavy. The adrenaline lingered, buzzing beneath his skin. Behind him, Emily stood frozen, unaware that half the gate had captured everything. On the plane, David settled into his seat. 18A, window. His hands shook now that no one was watching. A flight attendant passed. Not Emily. Can I get you anything? She asked gently. David looked up. Water, please. She nodded, then paused. I'm sorry about what happened out there. David swallowed. You saw? Everyone did. As the plane taxied, notifications buzzed on David's phone. A message from an unknown number. I recorded it. If you need the video, then another. That wasn't okay. Then another. By the time the plane lifted off, the video was already spreading. Emily didn't know yet. She still thought she'd gotten away with it. But at 30,000 feet, truth traveled faster than aircraft. And by the time they landed, her smile would no longer protect her. Because authority without accountability always forgets one thing. Someone is always watching. The seatbelt sign chimed softly, a polite reminder to stay in place, but David barely noticed it. His eyes stayed fixed on the oval window, where clouds stretched endlessly, calm and indifferent. Up here, everything looked peaceful. Down below, moments earlier, his dignity had been treated like disposable paper. He replayed it again and again in his mind, the pause before Emily spoke, the way her fingers tightened on the ticket, the confidence with which she tore it, as if the act itself proved her authority. He wondered how many times she had done something like that before, how often her smile had been enough to silence questions. A few rows ahead, someone turned around and glanced at him. A woman mid-30s, dark hair pulled into a bun. She offered a small, apologetic smile. David returned it, though it felt unfamiliar on his face. The water arrived. He drank it slowly, grounding himself in the simple act. The tremor in his hands began to fade, replaced by a dull exhaustion. Anger had a way of draining you once it burned through its fuel. His phone vibrated again. Another message. I'm on the same flight. I saw everything. If they try anything later, you're not alone. David exhaled quietly. Not alone. The words settled somewhere deep in his chest. He typed a brief thank you and locked the screen, not ready to relive the moment through shaky footage just yet. The plane leveled out, engines settling into a steady hum. Somewhere behind the curtain separating cabins, Emily was working, pouring drinks, checking seatbelts, laughing when expected to laugh. David wondered if she felt anything at all, or if, in her mind, the incident was already shrinking, reshaping itself into a story where she had been right all along. A voice crackled over the intercom, welcoming passengers aboard, promising a smooth flight to Chicago. The captain's tone was warm, reassuring. David listened, struck by how easily authority could sound kind when it chose to. Time moved strangely in the air. Minutes stretched, then vanished. David read nothing, watched nothing. He simply sat, breathing, letting the moment pass through him, instead of lodging inside him like so many others before. Halfway through the flight, the curtain rustled. Emily appeared in the aisle. David felt it before he saw her. A subtle shift, like the air tightening. She stopped beside his row, her posture stiff, her practiced smile nowhere to be found. Mr. Johnson, she said quietly. David looked up. Yes. I wanted to clear the air, she continued. There was a misunderstanding at the gate. Misunderstanding. The word landed with a familiar sting. She glanced around, making sure other passengers weren't paying attention. I was just doing my job. Security's a big concern these days. David held her gaze. You tore my ticket. Emily's jaw tightened. I apologized through the supervisor. You apologized for the inconvenience, David said. Not for what you did. Silence stretched between them, thin and uncomfortable. I don't want this to become something it doesn't need to be, Emily said finally. David's voice stayed calm. Then you should have thought about that before. Her eyes flicked to his phone, resting on the tray table. You didn't record anything, did you? David didn't answer right away. He didn't have to. Emily's shoulders sagged, just slightly. For the first time, she looked less like someone in control and more like someone afraid of losing it. I've worked here for 7 years, she said. One mistake, one choice, David corrected. She swallowed. I didn't mean it the way it came out. David leaned back in his seat. It always comes out the same way. A call button chimed somewhere down the aisle. Emily straightened, mask sliding back into place. Enjoy the rest of your flight, she said, already stepping away. David watched her go, a strange mixture of satisfaction and sadness settling over him. Confrontation never felt the way people imagined it would. There was no victory, only clarity. When the plane began its descent, phones buzzed again. News alerts now. A short clip, already blurred, already shared thousands of times. Comments scrolling faster than David could read, some angry, some dismissive, some grateful it had been caught at all. As the wheels touched down, applause rippled through the cabin. David didn't clap. He gathered his bag, steady now, composed. At the gate, a different supervisor waited. Emily stood off to the side, pale, silent. Mr. Johnson, the supervisor said, "May I speak with you?" David nodded. "We're taking this very seriously," the man continued. "We'd like to formally apologize." David looked past him, at the terminal opening up ahead. "I've heard that before." The supervisor hesitated. "Still, I hope, David said gently, "that the next person doesn't have to go through this to be believed." The man nodded, unable to argue. David walked into the terminal, blending into the flow of passengers. No one stopped him, no one stared. He was just another traveler now, moving forward. Behind him, consequences would unfold. Investigations, statements, carefully worded apologies. Emily's smile would not be enough this time. David didn't look back. He stepped into the crowd, aware, as always, but no longer silent.